Mr. Vice President, a lot of voters supported the president and you because they liked the fact that he was explicit that the U.S. is going to stop being the world's policeman. But now it hasn't even been 100 days, and we have seen military strikes in Syria and Afghanistan. You talking pretty tough vis-a-vis North Korea, maybe holding out the possibility of military strikes with or without China's help. What do you say to voters back home who say, wait a minute, this is not what I signed up for?
I say to voters that President Trump is a man of his word, and he's the kind of strong leader that is going to pursue the vital national interests of the United States of America, and has demonstrated an ability and willingness to use force where necessary. The president's decision to launch cruise missiles into Syria, to the very air base that launched that horrific chemical attack against men, women, and little children, was the right decision. The American people know it, and it's been heralded across the world community. Now, there are some that would like to see a greater American involvement in the Syrian conflict, but the president's made it clear. We had a response to that horrific attack that was measured, it was focused, and the president's going to continue to be focused in Syria, where he said he would during the campaign, and that is on hunting down and destroying ISIS.
I want to look back home at some things happening domestically in the U.S. The president said that the administration is going to have a big win soon on health care. I know that you have been working it, even though you're thousands of miles away, to try to take a health care reform, Obamacare repeal, over the finish line. How's it going?
Well, President Trump made it clear that the first priority of this Congress should be to repeal and replace Obamacare. And while it was clear that a little more than a month ago Congress wasn't quite ready to do it, we've never relented in our commitment to keep that promise to the American people. Look, Obamacare has failed. We were told that people could keep their doctor if they wanted to. We were told that the cost of health insurance would go down, and we've seen every promise of Obamacare broken. And
so are you going to keep your promise to repeal it?
Is determined to complete that promise, and I'm very confident that in the days ahead we're going to see the Congress come together, and we're going to take that important first step to repeal and replace Obamacare with the kind of health care reform that President Trump has envisioned.
So getting the votes is imminent?
I think we'll see, but I will tell you, we're very encouraged at the discussions that are taking place among members of Congress, and the president remains personally and directly engaged in these discussions. But make no mistake about it, this administration's in the promise-keeping business, and we're going to continue to work with this Congress until we keep the promise of repealing Obamacare and replacing it with the kind of health care system the American people deserve.
Yesterday was tax day. Are you going to buck the example of your boss and release your own taxes?
Well, during the course of the campaign, we released our taxes.
And you'll continue to do that as Vice President? As
I told you, it was a pretty short read. We're a family of pretty modest income. I expect we'll continue that tradition, and the President will make his own decision about how to handle that issue. But the really good news on taxes is that as we move forward in this Congress, President Trump is committed to reducing taxes across the board for working families, small businesses, and family farms.
We are almost at the 100-day mark, 100 days, very soon, of the Trump administration. Obviously, you've got some big accomplishments. Neil Gorsuch is on the Supreme Court, rolling back some Obama regulations. But are you frustrated that you haven't been able to do more, like the big promise that you've been making for election after election to repeal Obamacare and others?
I couldn't be more proud to be a part of an administration that hit the ground running on day one. And as we approach that 100-day mark, I think the American people are going to be able to look back and see in the presidency of Donald Trump a determination to put into practice all the things that he campaigned on. I mean, rolling back an avalanche of regulations that have been not only waging war on American energy, but really on American jobs. keeping his promise to appoint a justice to the Supreme Court in the tradition of the late and great Justice Antonin Scalia, driving forward to repeal and replace Obamacare, and putting together a team and a cabinet that I think has inspired and given confidence to people around the country and frankly around the world. I think at the 100-day marker, I think the American people are going to conclude what I've concluded, and that is that President Donald Trump is off to a great start, but the best is yet to come.